Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I am Star. The message I heard is she's rushing you to the dumpster. The scripture comes from. Okay, hold on. Because God just told me a whole different scripture than what I came to. Deuteronomy 6 and 9. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. When the Lord your God brings you into the land he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, a land with large, flourishing cities you did not build, houses filled with all kinds of good things you did not provide, wells you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves you did not plant. Then when you eat and are satisfied, be careful that you do not forget the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. So here's the message for somebody. God has promised you something. God has promised you something. God has promised you something. And you know that God has promised you this. You also know that God is not a man that he shall lie. You also know that God, when God promised you things, he gives them to you. This is not a situation where God has promised you things in the past and none of it came. God promises you things, and when he promised you something, he give it to you. God says that you may have to deal with there's someone that is making you feel as though what God has promised you is not going to come to pass, and you need to go ahead and you need to make another plan. There's someone that, like, and this, you feel rushed, okay? You feel rushed to come up with some other kind of plan. You feel rushed to try to figure something else out. You feel rushed. Now, why in the world is this person rushing you? They are rushing you because they want you to forfeit your destiny. They want you to forfeit your promise. They want you to end up with, like, just like the trash, the dumpster. They rushing you to a dumpster. Anywhere but where God has promised you to go. Anything but what God has promised to give you. They are rushing you out of that job, the job that God promised you, the business that God promised you. You're trying to hurry up and get it off its feet. You getting the money together, you getting everything together, and they trying to convince you that you need to go and work somewhere else that is a dead-end job. You would not be able to make as much as you would make if you were working for yourself. And then on top of that, you would have to deal with attitudes, and you may have to deal with personalities, and they may be trying to point you towards a place where they know people that work there. And they've already convinced these people to harass you and bully you once you get there. They rushing you to somewhere where you will be miserable. They trying to rush you and direct you towards a life that you would not flourish and you would not be happy. They trying to rush you into a position to where you will be a slave to somebody. God said, what he promised you, you will receive it. This is not, it's not a situation where you are sitting around talking to demons and the demons have convinced you to go on a crash dummy test or something like that, a test drive. This is not that kind of situation. It's not the kind of scenario where what God has promised you is far-fetched, it's brought out of a fantasy land, and it don't make any sense. I just feel like for whoever this is for, whoever you are, you have already seen certain things manifesting where God is showing you he's going to give this to you. He has already shown you he's going to give this to you. It will be a situation to where someone is trying to convince you that you need to, how do I say it? Like, it will be like someone saying that you need to go ahead and get an apartment, but God has already blessed you with the house. You already signed off on it. You already paid your down payment, and you basically just waiting on your move-in date. Why in the world would you go and sign a lease on an apartment for a year and you already got a house that's waiting on you? That don't make no sense. Why would you do that? That would be like someone telling you you need to go ahead and take a lease out on a car, but you already paid cash for a car. God already have a car for you. God has already shown you the same amount that you give them for the lease. You could get a car with it. Why would you do that? Why? That doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. And just because it takes time, some things take time. When something is made to last and is going to last for a long time. For someone out here in eternity, like this is something that you will be able to pass on. This is not something that's just going to take a few minutes. It's not something that's going to take a few days. This may take a few months. It may take a few years. However, I feel like this is something that's going to be a little bit faster than that. But anywho, God is saying that this is not something that can be rushed. This is not something that can be rushed. And in reality, I'm being reminded of a message that I received about someone that it was similar. It was someone that was being pressured into doing something that goes against what God asked them to do. And God's saying the same amount of time it would take you to do the thing that I asked you not to do, you could have already had the thing that I'm asking you to. They both take the same amount of time. They both gonna take the same amount of time. I just feel like for whoever you are, God said do not steer away from the course that he have you on, because it's not built to harm you. It's something that will give you peace. It's something that will have you won't be in a position to where you stressed out the way you would be stressed out if you go down this other course. God is saying that this is the course that he has called you to go down, and he has called you to go down it for a reason. If you know good and well that you would prefer to have what God wants to give you than this other thing, I don't see the logic in you trying to go after it anyways. And I truly feel like for somebody, you already have, like God has already been giving you things. God has already shown you how it is a possibility. God has already been talking to you about this. God has already been showing you things and telling you things and giving you, like this is not a situation where you are just confused and you don't know what to do and it's looking like it's not going to come into, this is something like, if God has told you to start a business, you already have the products that you're going to sell. You already have the curriculum or whatever it is. You have the outline. You already, it's like you halfway there. Why are you stopping now? Because of what such and such said. What you going to do with all the things that God gave you for what he promised you? If you go after something that you don't even need, that you don't desire, that you truly don't want, why would you even waste your time, effort, energy, or money going that way? God is saying that this is a strategic plan to take you off the course of where you're supposed to be going. This is a strategic plan to get you caught up in situations and places where you're not even meant to be there. God said he already have what he promised you prepared for you. He's already getting you ready. Things are manifesting already. Why in the world? Why in the world would you listen to something that, like, and it's not to say it's nonsense, because all advice is not bad advice. I'm going to be real. And from this person's perspective, they may look at what God told you, regardless if you told them or not. They may look at it and feel like it's silly and it's far-fetched for you to even go after that or for you to even do that. But I'm here to tell you that you are built for a time as this. God has already taken you through tests and trials. You have already done whatever this is. You already have experience in it. It's not a situation where you have never done this before, or you would have no idea what you were doing, or you would not, like, you are the best person for the job. God says stay on the course that he has for you. Stay on the course that he has for you. Everything is going to work out. Everything's going to work out. It's going to work out in your favor. God says this, whatever this is, whoever is trying to convince you to do something else, it don't mean that you got to scream and yell and you got to argue with them and you got to go back and forth, or you got to pull out whatever it is that God has told you. You know what I'm saying? You got to pull out and you got to tell them the plans by every detail. 9 out of 10. You tell them your plans and they're going to try to figure out some kind of way to keep you from doing it. God said it's not meant for them to know. In reality, it's not for them, and it doesn't matter if they know or not. Due to the fact that it's going to take you the same amount of time to go down the route that God has for you, that it would take for you to go down the route that they desire for you, it does not matter if they know your plans or not. You can sit there and you can listen and you can take that advice and you can be like, okay, and you can carry on with your plans. Just because they gave you advice don't mean you have to follow the advice that they gave you. It's nice, it's kind, that's wonderful, but God said to go that way. God is saying he is about to bring you somewhere that he swore that he would give you. He swore. This is somebody your forefathers prayed about this. And regardless if it's a situation, like for someone, this is for your safety. This is for your peace of mind. This is your inheritance. This is for future generations. This is not just about you. And just like I said, it don't have nothing to do with them. And it's not just about them. And, regardless of who this person is, I'll tell y'all in a second. If you come out here and I'm talking about something that's the opposite of what God told you, that means that message ain't for you. Every piece of advice that you receive is not for you. It doesn't mean that it's for you. There are some times where people will be talking and they'll be saying things and it's really intended for somebody else. And even if this person, they not a prophet and they just talking to you, they trying to give you some advice and they just telling you all these things. Sometimes people be projecting their personal fears up on you. And then some people just be talking out the side of their neck. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. I wasn't going to say that, but, God put it up on my, but that's real. Like, there's some people, they just be talking. They just saying stuff. Just doing things. God said don't pay no attention to nobody that is going against what he told you need to do. You need to do what God said to do. And you need to put forth effort to do what God said to do. That don't mean you can't take advice. It's okay. It doesn't mean if somebody give you advice, regardless of what three they are, regardless if they are actually a prophet from God, or if they are just someone that is wise and they are giving you advice because they care about you and your well-being, allegedly, or if they are somebody that's just talking out the side of their neck and they truly want to trip you and make you stumble and fall. God said, you listen, that's fine. You don't have to argue with them. It's no need to go back and forth. You don't need to lay out your plan in front of them. It's really none of their concern and none of their business. When it comes down to it, regardless if you take their advice and do what they asked you to do, or if you go off of what God told you to do, it's going to take the same amount of time anyway. It don't matter. Either way, it's going to take the same amount of time. It's going to take the same amount of time. What they are asking you to do is not going to make the process any faster. It's not going to be any faster if you follow what they are asking you to do. Because in reality, there are still things that you have to, regardless of which way you go, there are things that have to be in place before you can do either one. God said, do what he asked you to do and don't pay attention to none of that. You can sit and you can listen and you can have, you don't have to have an aggressive conversation with somebody just because they're giving you bad advice. You don't have to go off on somebody just because they're going against what God told you. There's no need to, I just feel like God is saying there's no need for confrontation because it could be either one of those things. They could be prophesying to you, but they prophesying to the wrong person. That's okay. That's between them and God. It could be a situation where they are, and that's why you got to use discernment too. Because, sometimes just because you click on a video, it doesn't mean that it's for you. You got to be careful with that. And they could just be somebody that's talking. They could just be talking, just saying something to say something. Maybe they bored. But that don't mean that you got to argue with them and you got to go off and you got to stump around. And why get your blood pressure going about this person that's just bored? Let them carry on. Get them something to do. Talk to them. Why not? And then, you know, even if it's somebody that they are concerned with you and they want to make sure you're okay, reassure them. Tell them, okay, I hear what you're saying. I understand. And I love you too. Don't worry. I'm going to be just fine. Don't worry. Everything's going to work out. Don't worry. I'm not going to bring you no shame. Don't worry. Calm down. Everything's fine. It's okay. Ain't no need to yell. Ain't no need to argue. It sure ain't no reason to curse. God said don't get your blood boiling behind it. But in reality, he do want you to do as he asked you to. Do as he instructed you to. And they will be just fine. Regardless to which category they fall in. Like they will be just fine. It don't even concern them. It doesn't. The only one it concerned is if it's somebody that's concerned about your well-being. And guess what? God will never call you to do anything that will bring you any harm. So they don't have no reason to be worried. The person that's just talking really don't have no reason to be worried because they really don't care what you do. They just saying something. And the person that's prophesying, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Why would they be mad? The only thing they need to do is say what God told them to say to whoever God told them to say it to. And that's it. So neither of these people should be upset, angry, or frustrated because you are following what God instructed you to do instead of what they instructed you to do. What they are instructed you to do, it is not good. What they are telling you that you should do is something that I just feel like you can see. And you see the outcome of it as not good for you. It may work out for them. It may have worked out for them. It may have been like in different times. You know, if somebody come talking about something they did 20, 30 years ago and saying that if you do it, it'll work out just fine. No, it's not, because it's a different time now. 30 years ago, the world was not as crazy as it is today. 30 years ago, I'm going to be real and say, let me speak for when I was here. I would say 25 years ago, me as a little girl could walk and go to the store with my friends and go back to where I was and walk around and go through the different stores. And we would go to the little pet store and we go to the dollar store, walk up the street to the burger joint over on Club Creek, and no problems. Nobody's trying to do nothing to us. Nobody messing with us. We walk there, get back safely. Today, you bet not. You bet not. If you ain't from over there, you better not go over there and think you finna walk to no store. You better not go over there and think you gonna be just fine. You better not go over there and think you finna whistle on your way to the pet store. You may find yourself in a little pickle. Okay, you may find yourself with some problems. It's not the same way it used to be. That's just like how, former generations, they were able to work at a little simple store. They could have a job just like on the show King of the Hill. Hank work at a propane shop as the assistant manager at a propane place and got a house. His wife don't have no stable job. She a teacher when she feel like it. And then she specifically only come in for Spanish. So that means she not only is she a substitute teacher, but she only teach one class she could be a substitute teacher for. Then she ain't really working like that, and she'll do little things around the house, may come up with a business here and there, but in reality, Hank Check is the one that's paying that mortgage, and they still had a house. Baby, you better not try to think that you're gonna be able to work at no propane shop and buy a house in today's climate. Let's be real. Let's be real. So I just feel like this is a situation where you cannot move the way that some people got that they were able to move. You cannot do the same thing it may have worked for them, but it's not going to work for you. But you can accept the advice. You can listen to the advice. There may be some good in it. There may be a few things that you can actually use to your advantage. But in reality, God is saying that he wants you to go down the route that he asked you to go down. He don't want you doing all of this. He don't want you figuring, trying to sit there getting yourself a headache trying to figure out how you gonna do both. And God said, listen to what he has instructed you to do. It's gonna take you the same amount of time anyway. For some, like this, for this message, whoever this message is for, God says it's gonna take you the same amount of time. It don't matter which way you go. It's gonna take you the same amount of time. But if you go the route that God has given you, if you do what God has instructed you to do, you will come out better. You will have a better outcome. And that's the message. Whew. Last but not least, when you do receive this blessing that God has for you, because you will receive it. You will receive it. God is not a man that he shall lie. It may be a situation where you feel like you can't tell people, because sometimes when you tell people, they try to disencourage you and tell you that it's not possible and that it won't work out and you don't know what you're talking about and you just making stuff up and that. When you receive this blessing, and you will receive it, because God did not lie and he will not lie, you best to believe that you better be ready and prepared to glorify God as you are there. If God is about to bless you with a house, if God is about to bless you with a car, if God about to bless you with a business, God said, if you about to get a degree, whatever it is, God said, when you get there, ensure that you are glorifying him. Ensure that you are praising him. Ensure that you give him glory, because this is something that God is giving you. This is something God is blessing you with. This is not something that was done by a man's hand. This is something that was done by God's hand. And God said he wants all the praise and all the glory. All the glory and all the praise. All the praise and all the glory and all the glory and all the praise for what he is about to bless you with. And then you will be able to show. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hard when we in the prep season, when we in a season where we get like we having to get ready for it. When we are in the season where we're just doing stuff that God is instructing us to do, we don't know why we doing it. We don't know why we doing it. Like when I was starting my cosmetic line, I ain't know why. Like I felt silly, and people made me feel silly because I was just talking with people that I work with either now or I used to work with, getting the products together. I was focused on naming everything, coming up with names. I had to go and get paperwork to get my business in line and to ensure that I was, following the laws of my area. I had to ensure that, I figured out a logo, and I figured out how to do this, and I figured out how to do that. And people were just like, what in the world is she doing? It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's not going to come to pass. Baby, but God shocked me and everybody else. And God is saying, the only difference between you telling people what you're doing and not telling people what you're doing is the fact that if you tell people what you're doing, they get the opportunity to throw salt on it and tell you, nah, that's not going to work out. Nah, that's not going to work out. You watch, it's going to be a failure. And they get to go get on the phone, call up Sally, Susan, Lewis, and whoever else they talk to and tell them, they said they doing this, and they said they going to do that, and they said they going to do this. Watch how this going to turn out. It's not going to turn out good. Sometimes God will allow that to happen. Like with my cosmetic business, God allowed that to happen. Because guess what, baby? When that collection drops, you couldn't tell me nothing. And I just feel like it's kind of situation where God don't want you to have to endure that, okay? Because while it felt good to, prove people wrong, it was hard. And everything is not always about proving people wrong. God will do that if you're the kind of person where people are always looking down upon you. They always feel like you're not going to do nothing. They always feel like I just feel like that's that kind of situation. But when you're in a position to where God is bringing you up, God is gifting you with something, God is trying to bless you with something, and it's something that's not exactly easy to do, you are the few people that's going to be able to fix your mouth and said you did this here, or you are doing something that nobody expects you to be able to do. Maybe it's something that other people have not been able to do or they could not do. It's no need to go around, like, I just feel like it's no need to go around telling people what you're going to do, because that's going to add pressure. You're going to have people coming from every which way. As somebody that went through it, you will have people coming from every which way, looking down upon you, talking down upon you, and telling you why you need to go ahead and hang that up and move on. And it will make it very difficult for you to follow what God has instructed you to do, while simultaneously having to deal with people trying to tell you that you need to turn away from what God is asking you to do and you need to do something else. God said you don't need them kind of people around you. You don't need to deal with that. You don't, you like that. That adds, it's already pressure on top of what you're doing as is. And if you have to listen to the noise of people trying to talk down on you, look down on you, and make you feel as though you can't do something, it will add extra pressure. Everybody don't work well under pressure. Some people, you know what I'm saying, when people start talking down on you, you be like, bet, watch this. Okay, and then some people, they will hear the talk and they will be like, well, you know what, maybe I can't do it. And maybe I'm not strong enough for this. Maybe it is silly. Maybe it is a bad idea. Maybe this will cause bad things to happen. Maybe this will happen. Maybe that will happen. You may have to endure people going around to other people and telling them how from their perspective and their point of view, you are doing this to spite them. Or you're doing this to get back at them. Or you're doing this because of this. And they just going about, and you know, even if you do, and when you do accomplish this task, you won't receive a positive, you know, reinforcement. You won't receive any positive reactions because people have already heard this lie from such and such about how the only reason you doing that is because of them. The only reason you doing that is because of this, that, and the third. And it don't even have anything to do with that. God said you don't want to put yourself in a position where somebody else, because in that scenario, somebody else trying to receive glory for something that you did. You don't want to put yourself in a position to where somebody is trying to throw water on whatever it is you got going on. It will be like, you know, you telling people my birthday is on such and such, and or you tell somebody my birthday is on this date, and they go about to everybody and say that when your birthday come, you gonna be flashy and you gonna do this and you gonna do that and you gonna do this, you gonna do that. You don't even plan on doing any of that, but now all of these people have this negative mindset towards you. They don't even want to wish you a happy birthday. They don't even want to give you nothing for your birthday. They don't even want to praise you and say I'm happy, I'm blessed, that I'm blessed to know you, and I'm happy that I know you. Bless God, praise God for your birthday. No, they don't want to do that because they think that you are thinking a certain way that you're not. They already have it in their mind that you are going to be smelling yourself on your birthday, when in reality, you just grateful to see another year. And I just feel like for somebody, God is saying that it's a reason. It's a reason. Even if somebody is sitting up, they trying to poke at you so that they clawing at you because they want to know what God told you to do. And they want to know what God has for you. And they want to know this. They want to know that. It's a reason why God told you not to tell them. And don't worry about them trying to call people on the phone and tell them, well, they won't tell me what they doing. And they won't tell me this. And they won't tell me that. The very point that they are on the phone telling somebody, complaining to somebody that you won't tell them your business is the exact reason why you don't need to tell them your business. Because guess what they gonna do? Be messy. And call people on the phone and tell them your business that they don't even need to know. It ain't none of their business. Why they need to know what you got going on for? Why are they so concerned with that? And like I said, this is whatever it is that they are insisting that you do versus what God insists that you do is going to take the same amount of time. So why bother? Why worry yourself? They don't need to worry themselves, and you don't need to worry yourself. In reality, it don't have nothing to do with them. It's for you, and that's that. And that's the message. Like whatever this is, regardless to if you decided to go their route or your route, it would not benefit them. in any shape, form, or fashion. Regardless if you worked at the job that they talking about or the job God got for you. The paycheck is going to you. It's going to benefit you regardless. Unless they got some kind of backhanded deal with this employer that they trying to push you towards. Which, you know, because of the fact that I actually talked about that a little bit earlier, you know, this is why you have to be careful about people insisting that you go down this route, insisting that you do this, and you need to go stay there, and you need to go and be around this person, go hang out with them, go hang out. Like, you never know what people actually got really going on. You never know how they are trying to manipulate your life. You never know what they are really trying to do deep down inside. And, you know, I personally believe anybody that's going to get mad and upset with me because I'm not telling them something that's none of their business, they don't have a positive reason as to why they want to know. Because why is it so serious that you need to know? Why are you stressing yourself out about not knowing something that don't have nothing to do with you? Something that don't even affect you. Something that is nonsense. God said in reality, that is somebody that they really want to see evil come upon you. They want to see bad things happen to you. They want to manipulate what your life story is going to be. They want to manipulate how your life turns out. So they are insisting that you go down some kind of route that is simply not for you. God said the route that he has for you will benefit you better. The route that he has for you is going to take the same amount of time. Don't pay them no mind. Don't pay them no attention. And keep doing as God is instructing you to do. That's the message. Whew. 30 minutes, Lord. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.